Otters, wolverines, badgers, weasels, ferrets, and martens all belong to one remarkable family of mammals, the mustelids. They're famous for their intelligence, powerful jaws, fearless hunting skills, and surprising aggression despite their relatively small size. But millions of years ago, one member of this family pushed those traits to the extreme. In the rivers and savannas of prehistoric Africa lived a giant mustelid unlike anything alive today, an otter that could rival a lion in size, crush bones with its massive jaws, and may even have posed a threat to our early human ancestors. This was Enhydriodon, the giant killer otter of prehistoric Africa. The genus Enhydriodon first emerged around 10 million years ago, during the late Miocene. It likely evolved in southern Asia before spreading into Africa, where some species grew to extraordinary sizes. Over millions of years, this remarkable lineage diversified into at least 9 known species, with the African forms becoming the largest otters ever to exist. One of the earliest known species was Enhydriodon civilensis, which lived in what is now India. It wasn't the giant monster its African relatives would later become. In fact, it was probably similar in size to today's sea otter, spending much of its time in freshwater rivers and feeding on fish, shellfish, and other aquatic animals. But as Enhydriodon spread into Africa, things started to change. The African species became bigger. One of them, Enhydriodon dickeyi, lived in Ethiopia around 3.5 million years ago. Based on the fossils discovered so far, scientists estimate it weighed between 100 and 200 kilograms, about the size of a modern lion. Then came the true giant, Enhydriodon omoensis, discovered in Ethiopia's lower Omo Valley, may have weighed more than 200 kilograms, making it the largest otter ever known. Other species, including Enhydriodon africanus, Enhydriodon falconeri, and Enhydriodon pilgrimi, help scientists piece together the story of how this remarkable genus evolved over nearly 8 million years. Although many of these species are known from only a handful of fossils, together they reveal one incredible evolutionary journey. But speaking of journeys, how did these giants actually live? For years, scientists believed Enhydriodon lived much like modern otters, spending most of its time in rivers and lakes, hunting fish, turtles, and even young crocodiles. But recent discoveries have completely changed that picture. Chemical signatures preserved in fossil teeth suggest that some African species spent much more time on land than anyone expected. Rather than being full-time swimmers, they were probably just as comfortable roaming the surrounding savannas and woodlands. This made them unlike any living otter. The African species of Enhydriodon had a short, broad, and heavily built skull, very different from the long, narrow skulls of most modern otters. This wasn't a skull designed for simply catching slippery fish. It was built for power. Large jaw muscles attached to the reinforced skull gave it an incredibly strong bite. Its teeth were just as impressive. Instead of relying mainly on sharp, slicing teeth, Enhydriodon possessed large, rounded premolars and molars, known as bunodont teeth. These acted like natural crushers, allowing it to crack open bones and carcasses to reach the nutritious marrow inside. The rest of its skeleton was equally impressive. Its limb bones were thick, dense, and powerfully built, capable of supporting an animal that may have weighed more than 200 kilograms. Broad shoulders and muscular forelimbs gave it the strength to overpower struggling prey, drag heavy carcasses, and move confidently across rough terrain. At the same time, it never lost the features that made otters exceptional swimmers. A flexible spine, muscular tail, and strong hind limbs allowed it to move efficiently through rivers and swamps before climbing back onto land. In many ways, Enhydriodon was built for two worlds. It combined the swimming ability of an otter, the raw strength of a wolverine, and the crushing bite of a hyena. That versatility was probably reflected in its behavior as well. Rather than specializing in a single food source, Enhydriodon was likely an opportunistic predator and scavenger, taking advantage of whatever the African landscape had to offer. Living in prehistoric Africa wasn't easy. Enhydriodon shared its world with some of the most dangerous predators ever to exist. Saber-toothed cats such as Homotherium and Dinofelis prowled the savannas, while giant crocodiles dominated rivers and lakes. At the same time, early hominins like Australopithecus and later Paranthropus were beginning to adapt to life on the African landscape. So how did a giant otter survive among all these competitors? The answer once again lies in its remarkable adaptability. Unlike saber-toothed cats, which relied mainly on hunting large mammals, Enhydriodon probably wasn't a picky eater. It could hunt fish, turtles, crocodile hatchlings, birds, and medium-sized mammals. When the opportunity arose, it likely scavenged as well, using its powerful crushing teeth to break open bones and reach the nutrient-rich marrow hidden inside. Modern otters are often social animals, with some species living and even hunting in family groups. It's possible that Enhydriodon behaved in a similar way, but there is currently no fossil evidence to confirm whether these giant otters lived or hunted cooperatively. If they did live in groups, they may have been able to defend carcasses from other predators through strength in numbers. Encounters with formidable hunters such as Homotherium would have been risky for both sides, but exactly how these interactions played out remains unknown. As for early hominins, there is no direct fossil evidence that Enhydriodon hunted them. However, an animal weighing over 200 kilograms with immensely powerful jaws would certainly have been capable of attacking vulnerable individuals, especially near rivers and lakes. Early hominins likely regarded it as another dangerous predator to avoid, rather than an animal to confront. For millions of years, this flexible lifestyle served Enhydriodon well. By combining the instincts of an opportunistic hunter with the efficiency of a powerful scavenger, it carved out its own niche in one of the most competitive ecosystems the world has ever known. But even the giant killer otter couldn't survive forever. Around 2 million years ago, Enhydriodon disappeared from the fossil record, bringing an end to one of the most extraordinary members of the mustelid family. So, what happened? The truth is, scientists don't know for certain. No fossil has preserved the final days of Enhydriodon, but several factors likely worked together over thousands of years. As Africa's climate became cooler and drier, vast forests gradually gave way to more open grasslands. Rivers and wetlands shifted, shrinking or changing course, transforming the habitats that Enhydriodon had depended on for millions of years. At the same time, Africa's predator community was changing. Large cats, hyenas, crocodiles, and other carnivores continued to diversify, creating even greater competition for food. Although Enhydriodon was an incredibly versatile hunter and scavenger, surviving became increasingly difficult as ecosystems changed around it. New prey species appeared, others disappeared, and the balance that had once favored this giant otter slowly unraveled. Adding to these environmental pressures, early members of the genus Homo were beginning to spread across Africa. There is no evidence that humans hunted Enhydriodon or caused its extinction. However, like every large predator sharing the landscape, it would have faced an ecosystem that was becoming increasingly different from the one in which it had evolved. Eventually, the combination of climate change, habitat transformation, and growing ecological competition appears to have pushed Enhydriodon beyond its limits. Its reign came to an end, yet its story lives on. From an otter that evolved in Asia to a giant predator that ruled the rivers and savannas of prehistoric Africa, Enhydriodon reminds us that evolution can produce creatures far stranger than fiction. It shattered everything we think we know about otters, proving that even a family best known today for playful swimmers once produced an animal powerful enough to rival the greatest predators of its time. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. The prehistoric world wasn't ruled by dinosaurs alone, or by saber-toothed cats alone. It was filled with remarkable animals that evolved in ways we could never have imagined, and Enhydriodon was one of them, a giant otter unlike any before or since. If you enjoyed this journey into the lost world of prehistoric Africa, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more documentaries on extinct animals, and let me know in the comments which prehistoric creature you'd like to see next. Until next time, thanks for watching.